An exciting night of Coach Master, and that tonight we're going to be talking about Speechcraft. And I can't wait to introduce the speakers for this evening. They are fabulous and very experienced, so I know you'll get a lot out of this. First, we have our guest speakers for this evening are from Wild Oats Toastmasters Club in Regina. And yep, there we go. And I have just lost my place. So we're doing really good today. Just give me 1 second, because as soon as you guys changed the screen, everything disappeared on me. So I am just going to bring this back up. There we go. All three are distinguished Toastmasters, and their club has been conducting Speechcraft annually. If anybody could guess this, I know I couldn't believe when I read this, 20 years. And they have been a part of coordinating and conducting those sessions. They did their first digital in 2021, and their fourth digital Speechcraft was started in March 11th, will be on March 11th, 2024. So mark that in your calendars, March 11th, 2024, and I'm sure we'll hear more about that in their presentation. Connie has been a member of Wild Oats since 1990, and she has filled numerous leadership roles and attended many events outside the club in area, division, and district levels. She believes that if you don't use a skill, you lose it. And I truly believe that as well. And we have to stretch and exercise that brain of ours, because we lose it. I totally agree. It's just like our muscles. So she continues to participate actively in Pathways. Last year, she was Speechcraft coordinator, and this year she is serving Wild Oats as VP Education. Bev has been a member since 1993. I think she's the youngest of the three, and she has participated in many events outside of the club area, division, and district level, and she enjoys mentoring and giving back. This year, she is the club president and Speechcraft coordinator. Brad joined Wild Oats in 1989. He is also a member of the Wascana Club and BLT Advanced Club. Brad has served in many leadership roles, including district director. This year, he is District 42's Club Extension Committee Chair. He is also an executive for his 3 clubs. Holy man, he's an executive in all of his 3 clubs. How does he find the time? His experiences coordinating, participating in Speechcraft, which has taught him how important the Speechcraft program is in helping clubs to grow. There is latitude for each club to personalize Speechcraft program for their own needs. And tonight, they are going to be sharing with their own experiences on what they have learned. And if you have any questions, please make sure you put them in chat, and they'll try to answer them at the end. And then that's about it for me. And so I'm turning it over to Bev. Bev, over to you.
Thank you very much, Jackie, and good evening to everyone. There might be a lot of experience on our panel, but there's a lot of experience in the room tonight. Because of the way we, when we show PowerPoints, we can't see everybody in the room at one time. So I would just like you guys to shout out on your mic if you can. Is there anybody here who's not a club coach?
Oh, I'm not a club coach.
Okay,
I'm
one
not a club
person.
coach. I'm not a club coach.
I'm not a club coach.
I'm not a club
I'm not a club
coach.
coach.
All right.
This is
All
good.
right. Everybody's awake. Second question then. Is there anybody you hear who's never heard of Speechcraft before?
Sorry?
Anybody here who's never heard of Speechcraft before?
You're gonna do some with your dog.
Pardon me? Okay, well, I'm assuming then that we have a mix in the group, but we have people who are at least familiar with Speechcraft. What we're going to do tonight then is we're going to divide the session into 3 areas. I'm going to cover some general information for you, and then Connie's going to talk about some more specifics of weekly. And when I say weekly, our club meets weekly. So weekly means at every meeting. If you meet twice a month, then that would just sort of be your version of weekly. and the agenda she's going to talk about. And then Brad's going to talk about some technical aspects of managing Speechcraft. So Speechcraft was referred to a few years ago by one of our former members as Toastmasters on steroids. Why might that be, you could wonder? While Speechcraft is a 6 to 8, usually week program, but it could be 4 to 10 weeks, however you decide to organize it. It's designed for people who are beginning in public speaking. So people who don't have much training or experience with writing or developing or presenting speeches. It's not a work at your own pace like Toastmasters is. It is a defined schedule of what people need to do every week to complete the program in however many weeks you guys have set it up to be. It's really a how-to. They learn and then they practice it at the next session, and they'll know in advance when the schedule says that they're going to speak and what they're going to do for sure. So that's really the bit about Speechcraft. Now, we talked a bit before we started. This is a digital program, so it's like Pathways, but it doesn't have to be conducted on Zoom or whatever other platform you might use for online. You can conduct it 100% in person if you want, or you can do hybrid or 100% online. The thing is that to complete the program, though, there's no more books like there was in the old days. You can't do it by books. You have to do it through the portal that you're given. And it's mostly for non-Toastmasters, but there's no rules that say that a Toastmaster can't take the program. In fact, when you buy the bundle, Brad will talk about later, there are 5, you buy 5 spaces. So if you only have 4 Speechcrafters, you could have one of your Toastmasters either audit it by going into the portal and following through, or actually take the program. It would give some accelerated learning to a new Toastmaster who hasn't completed level 1 yet, for sure. So who's got an idea of why you'd want to do a Speechcraft? Anybody want to maybe pop something in the chat about why you think you wanted to conduct a Speechcraft? Anybody? Get new members, gain members, yes, sure. Anything else? Get people started, yeah. I heard the other day of people who've been in clubs for over a year and haven't given a single speech yet. So, and it's a structured pace, for sure, it is. Anything else? Well, here's some things that we have to share with you. First of all, it's one of the things that can be used to get credit towards your Distinguished Toastmaster. So if you got a checklist on all the things you need to do, that's one of the things. Definitely, we want to get new members for our clubs. The other thing is that if you're in a low member club, or if the clubs that you're coaching are low member clubs, then people are sometimes doing more than one role week after week, and that can definitely get tiring. Speechcraft is structured so that the Speechcrafters take roles in the meeting and are, as the program progresses, they are taking more and more roles in the meeting. So people are getting a bit of a breather. And also the club is working together. It's a unifying force. There's a challenge to put on this, to get members to do such a good job of Speechcraft that those people want to stick around and they want to be members of this club. So everybody works together for the good of the club. We can make money from it, but we can't, it's not something that we can use to get rich. We can charge a defined fee, which we'll talk about later. It can also be a good public relations thing, a public service. Suppose someone maybe in your community association or in your church or somewhere says, would you teach a class to our members about how to speak in public? And you can go, we've got just the class for you for that. So there's right there, you've got probably the core of your Speechcrafters look together. It's a leadership building skill for the members of the club, or even for you as coaches, to get people to work together, to organize something, to everybody take part in it. I know people are pretty much all used to begging people to take roles. So, but really that's a leadership skill to fill all of the opportunities on the agenda. And the members are, as Connie will tell you later, are going to be giving speeches. So they're developing their skills in speech writing and delivery and about being trainers. And it's a challenge, and it feels so good at the end when you're finished and see how people have progressed it every week when you watch people doing a great job. And then when we talk about exactly how Speechcraft works, every Speechcrafter has access to the Speechcraft portal, which is like us signing into Pathways. And Brad, I think is going to talk about later, the Speechcraft coordinator will also be signing into the portal, and we'll be able to see the same things that the Speechcrafters are seeing. And so if you're doing this, you'll have familiarity already with what base camp looks like. So Speechcraft is going to be much the same. They give speeches in order, just like in speech Toastmasters, we've got an order of speeches in our level, for example, but we don't get to choose when we give them as a Speechcrafter. We give them when the program tells us to. The Speechcrafters also participate in table topics, normally on a weekly basis. One of the Speechcrafters is at least, if not all of them, are participating in table topics. There's leadership opportunities, and that depends how you organize your Speechcraft, how long your meetings are, how much time you've got available, what the specific Speechcrafters have for their goals. But they can learn to become leaders, such as being table topics master, or even closer to the end for sure, becoming a Toastmaster of the meeting, which is again a great leadership skill and really is a good test of people of how much they've learned as they progress through the program. They also learn to give evaluations, and we have education on being an evaluator, and they evaluate the other speeches, which is something that maybe if someone in your group is, say, a supervisor who has to do that in their workplace, then that's a good role for them. Other roles that you may have on your agenda, like Toastmaster or Toast or Humorist, you're welcome to fill them in for that. It's up to you how you assign the roles inside of your meeting. And then everyone learns from the educational sessions. The Toastmasters who develop and give those educational sessions learn from them. And it's not wrong to ask new Toastmasters to present an educational. The stuff is there from your Better Speaker series, for example. They can develop a speech using that as a basis, and then they learn, and then they help the Speechcrafters learn by presenting that information. There are options. You can decide how often you're going to do it. Are you going to do it for 4 weeks, for 6 weeks, for 10 weeks? How many hours you spend on it? We have a 1-hour meeting, so that's what ours is. Yours might be 2.5 hours, which will allow you to perhaps accept more Speechcrafters if you have a longer meeting. You can decide the cost. The rule is, though, that you can't charge more than 2 semi-annual payments. So right now that's $120 US. So convert that to Canadian, and that will tell you what the maximum is you're allowed to charge for Speechcraft. You can charge less, and certainly figure out how much it costs you, especially if you're paying for rooms. If your room is free, then you could probably charge less for it, but that's up for your club and your executive to decide. Now, who do you guys think your target audience might be? Have a thought about that. I'm going to just say that I'm pretty sure it's going to be everybody who wishes to communicate effectively. But who do you market to now as Toastmasters? What groups of people are you marketing at? Anybody want to unmute their microphones and shout out, or put in chat if you want what it is who it is you'd be marketing to? Anybody? Who do you market to now? The general public, yeah.
A lot of the newcomers. There's a big Filipino community in our area, and they are, presidents, or pardon me, the vice president of a union. So I think it's important to help facilitate some of those ways.
So we have unions and we have newcomers, new to Canada, new to the area, people who want to improve their English, people at work, people who need to give an important speech. They've got an important speech coming up. One of our members was practicing because she had to speak at a conference. for sure.
Totally.
So,
And also,
um,
for example, members of the community that they want to improve, for example, the clubs of the community or the neighbors or whatever, they want to
so
improve their skills. Yeah.
yeah, for sure. There could be people in your Lions Club, your Connects Club, something like that. We have an association with Rotary, so those are people that you could also promote this with. There are people who are maybe preparing for a big interview or preparing to present some kind of a dissertation at university. Those kinds of things. Supervisors in the workplace who are nervous about having to give performance evaluations and talk to people like that. There's a whole lot of things, but one of the things certainly is people who aren't ready to commit to Toastmasters yet, but are willing to give a smaller amount of time to improve. Again, you can promote Speechcraft the same places you promote Toastmasters, in public areas, in your workplaces, through professional organizations, and just people that you know in general. On the screen are two different things you can get from Toastmasters International. The item numbers are there. The one on the left is general information. The one on the right is editable. We use social media a lot for promotion for things in general. The poster, though, for Speechcraft is in every public library branch in Regina in hard copy form. We email people information, and so we give all of our club members the PDF of the posters so that they can use that in their email communications or workplace communications. QR codes, like you see on this poster, can lead you back to, this one leads back to the Speechcraft page on our Free Toast website. Make sure you give information on how they can reach you, and make sure you respond to people promptly, and make sure you educate the people who are going to be promoting for you, because if they don't know the answer to what do I learn in Speechcraft, or how long does it last, or when is it, or how much does it cost, then it's not going to do you any good to advertise or use people for advertising. And word of mouth really is the best thing that gets most attention, I think. So with that, I'm going to ask Connie to talk a bit more about some of the specifics. Connie.
Yes, I gotta unmute myself. I find myself, I'm one of the in-person people at Wild Oats rather than the online people. So I'm going to talk about agenda, oops, gotta go back here. Okay, sorry about this, people. Well, I'll just go. My first slide was really about agenda considerations and telling you what I'm going to talk about. So I'm going to talk about considerations from the club's perspective. I'm going to talk about some things that we think are important from this perspective of the speech crafter themselves. I'll talk a little bit about the education sessions. I have a document that I want to share with you called Speechcraft at a Glance, and it's something that I found extremely helpful. So I'll talk about that. I'm going to break down just the components of two of our agendas, our week 1 and week 2 agenda, so you can see what we build in. And I'm going to talk briefly about guests who might come to your meeting during the Speechcraft, but are not part of the Speechcraft program. So from a club perspective, Speechcraft has been really important to Wild Oats, as evidenced by our 20+ years of delivering this program. We've made adjustments to our agendas over the years because of number of members and so on, and Speechcraft has caused us to make a further adjustment to our agenda as well to accommodate this program. One of the things that we think is very important is that we need to make sure that our existing club members' needs are served. So our existing club members need some speaking spots and roles that they need to fill, because it's all well and good to want to attract new people, but you don't want to lose who you've got. We offer 8 education sessions within our scope of our program, and we really try hard to have a variety of members doing education presentations. It's not just the Bev, Brad, and Connie show that's happening on this. It's really important. It's good for the speech crafters to hear from different people, and it's good for our members, even the newer members, to practice delivering this kind of material. Bev mentioned already the fact that for the most part, the materials are condensed versions of the Better Speakers or Successful Club series that we know and love from the good old days. Wild Oats has those presentations on our website in our members area, so any of our members can go there. Plus, they can incorporate some of the new material that's part of the digital learning. There are a lot of pathways presentations that really lend themselves to doing these education sessions. Ones that come to my mind are researching and presenting, using presentation software, creating effective visual aids, connect with your audience, body language, vocal variety. So the presenter can customize the material and the slant that they put on it to meet their own pathways objectives. At the culmination of our Speechcraft, our very final education session is one that we call Toastmasters in Real Life. And we enlist the support of one of our members to talk about what they've gained in Toastmasters. Because after all, we don't get good at Toastmasters to be good at Toastmasters. We get good at Toastmasters in order to take these skills out into the rest of our lives, whether it's our workplace, our community involvement, other committees, family members, that sort of thing. This speech really fits well with the elective on Inspire Your Audience. We have had amazing presentations from our members over the past years. They've risen to the challenge in spades. We have a YouTube channel, and Bev is responsible, and as our de facto always Zoom master, she records all of our speeches, and they go onto our YouTube channel. They're private unless the member allows them to become public. But if you go to the Wild Oats YouTube channel and search for a presentation by one of our members, Diane Dupuis, she did this presentation a couple of years ago, and I'm pretty sure that it is publicly available. Now, I want to talk about Easter Monday simply because our Speechcraft generally runs in the March-April timeframe, and so the specter of Easter Monday raises its head. It's not an official stat holiday, but there's a lot of places that have the time off. And in Saskatchewan anyways, the schools are closed Easter week. So a lot of people take that week off. So we choose not to have Easter Monday as part of our agenda for Speechcraft. We meet, but it's a regular meeting, quote unquote. And we invite our Speechcrafters to attend at their option so they can see what a regular meeting looks like. Wild Oats is a noon hour club, as Bev mentioned already, and our official meeting time is 12:05 to 12:55. So in the space of 50 minutes, we have to pack in quite a lot. And within that consideration and the other considerations that I mentioned about our club, we've limited our number of speech crafters to a maximum of 3. Last year we had 2, and it actually worked out very, very well. But we do that so that we can fit all of the club and the speech crafter objectives in place. Now, from the speech crafter's point of view, mentorship is another important consideration at Wild Oats. Just as we appoint mentors for all of our members, each speech crafter is appointed a speech craft guide. And this person generally carries forward when and if, and we hope that speech crafter continues with the club. We are a hybrid club, so we have a contingent of people who meet regularly online and another group who meet regularly in person. Not that you can't go back and forth, but some of us have our habits quite well ingrained. So we try to make sure that we match the Speechcrafters' method of attendance with the guide attending in the same way. Doesn't have to be, but it seems to make it easier. Our schedule does include 4 speeches ideally, because with 4 speeches, it's the magic number that allows that pathway, that Speechcrafter to achieve a level 1 completion when they transition to pathways. Now, sometimes Speechcrafters miss a speech or a meeting. And so what we'll do is we'll typically invite them to come back in the week or 2 following this, the official conclusion of Speechcraft, so that they can still get that 4th speech in. Evaluation, we know, is a cornerstone of the Toastmasters program. The timely, encouraging evaluation is how we learn from one another. And so all of these speeches are evaluated, and we also make sure that we schedule each Speechcrafter to deliver at least 1 evaluation of another participant, so that not only do they get the experience receiving feedback and hearing it from others, but also the experience of trying to provide that feedback as well. And then impromptu speaking, table topics, again, very, very important. So we encourage our Speechcrafters to be participants regularly and often. And again, to become a topic master at least 1 meeting as well. The fee that we charge includes the Speechcraft program itself, and then it includes their continuing membership through to September the 30th. What we're hoping to develop in our Speechcrafters is the habit of coming, we meet Mondays, to a Monday noon meeting. So by the conclusion of the Monday of the Speechcraft, they've developed that habit already, and they'll carry forward so we can continue to support their learning. And then when September 30th rolls around and they have to pay fees, well, they're already convinced that this is great value for their money. Now, the Speechcraft learning, there are 8 digital topics. I didn't realize that this was coming through there. I didn't test that out. The education sessions that we deliver are designed to correlate with this list. They're not quite exactly the same, but these are the topics that the Speechcrafters will find within their portal. Things from choosing a topic, preparing to present, feedback, purpose, body language, evaluation, again, vocal variety, and powerful words. Now, our education sessions, 1 through 7, 1 topic each week except for number 3. In week 3, we have introduced the speaker, because it's a pretty short educational, along with effective evaluation. Again, as I mentioned, a variety of members, it's a variety of perspectives. It makes things more interesting. Kind of like tonight, if one of us would have come out and spoken for 45 minutes, it would have been okay. But I think you are going to enjoy this presentation more by having multiple presenters. And again, referring to this Better Speakers Successful Club series, digital learnings in Speechcraft, and always encouraging members to use these as pathways presentations. I don't know how long, most of you won't have been around long enough to know this name, but many, many years ago when I joined Toastmasters, there was a Toastmaster named Irene May, and she said, never give a free speech. So if you are going to be giving an education session for part of Speechcraft, please make it part of your own personal growth as well. Don't give a free speech. Now, I apologize because this is a really busy document, but I'm going to put the document, it's a Word document, not locked, so you can customize it. But I do want to talk about this a little bit. It's my Speechcraft at a glance document. I found this so helpful because I could plug in the names, I could see the gaps, I could just follow along. I just had to pull out this one piece of paper and see where I was going throughout the whole 8 weeks or 7 weeks. You can use colored fonts, and I had done that in the past. So each speech crafter has a different color. Your education sessions are a different color. There's lots of things you can do to make this document your own. I found it very handy. Page 2 of this document has the participant information. Now, Wild Oats adds the participant information like name, phone number, email address to Free Toast Toast. It's really important that the speech crafters are there because we circulate agendas, we send out messages and so on using that member's email. But having this information concisely contained in my way of thinking was easier than always turning to Free Toast Toast. So their name, their email, their cell number, who's their guide, and what's the guide's contact information as well. I found it extremely helpful to have that information all at a glance. Now, during the session, I'm going to talk about sessions 1 and 2 very briefly. The Speechcraft coordinator takes charge to start with and talks about that value of public speaking skills. We used to have a survey done during the first session, but Brad's going to talk about the orientation that we do in advance of Speechcraft, so we're able to do that there and save some time. The table topics session the first week has a Toastmaster who provides some tips as what is not just, oh, here's table topics, it's impromptu speaking, bang, let's go, but give some tips on how do you answer a question, you know, just a little bit about that, how to. We'll invite a Toastmaster to answer the first question to demonstrate what's happening, and then we ask our speech crafters to participate. We call on them. If there's a speech crafter who's very obviously uncomfortable in this first week, we're not going to proceed. We're not going to make them more uncomfortable. We can be more relaxed this first week, but in subsequent weeks, they are going to be stepping up. The education session is done orally for the first meeting because this is our only evaluation, and it gives the speech crafters a chance to see, oh, you talk about what you did well, you talk about what could be improved, you talk about the fact that there could be a challenge. GE comments, the timer has their report, because we want to build in that consciousness of the importance of time, and especially with our limited noon hour meeting. Speechcraft coordinator gives them their assignments for the next session so they know what they're doing. They know when they go to the portal what they have to do. And we do try to build in, even if it's 5 minutes, for the speechcrafter to meet with their guide. Oops, I'm almost done. Session 2 has icebreaker speeches by all 3 of our speech crafters. Education session on speech purpose, because the next speech is focusing on purpose. Speech crafters participate in table topics, and by positioning table topics after the speeches, they've gotten through that terror that they might be facing on giving their speech. So the ice has been broken. They've done that. The guides provide the first evaluations, not throughout, but this first one, and the ed session is a written evaluation. Now, guests are always welcome at Wild Oats, always, 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 and I know at all of your clubs. And we encourage them even through Speechcraft, even if we filled all our spots, because guests can still join as members. We've built our agendas to include some speaking spots on the agendas for our regular members and other roles. There are other roles that they can fill. And during Speechcraft, they're going to observe and learn from the Speechcrafter speeches and from all the education sessions being offered. Speechcraft is a great time to be a member of Wild Oats. And that is the end of mine. I'll turn it over to Brad, I think.
Right. For my portion of the presentation, I'll be talking about how to use the online Speechcraft portal, something new. I'll be talking about what you do before the Speechcraft, during the Speechcraft, and some of the things, a few things that you have to do to wrap it up at the end. So before it starts, one of the first things to do is, well, you have to buy the bundle, $50 US. I add a third to that to get to what the cost would be for the bundle. In order to find where to purchase it, one of the recommendations is you'll make sure you bookmark toastmasters.org/speechcraft because you'll be moving there a lot as a Speechcraft coordinator. One of the benefits this year is that Toastmasters, our District 42, will be providing a refund or reimbursing you for that cost. So they're encouraging the use of the Speechcraft. And if you haven't done it, if the treasurer or VP Ed or somebody else purchased the bundle, then you have to make sure you have a coordinator selected that will do the next step and enter the gateway and start to get prepared for the Speechcraft. So you can have up to 5 participants. If you have more than that, you buy another bundle, so another 50 US. When you purchase it, give yourself enough time before you need to do the next step to get the actual material access. So it'll take at least about 24 hours to get access to the bundle itself. So it's important to do that as soon as possible after you purchase it, just so it's there, and then you can start to work your way through and if you have any issues, address them. If you happen to buy 2 bundles, you can have 2 coordinators. Could be the same one for both, but it's an opportunity to give 2 coordinators the opportunity to be part of the Speechcraft as well as get the recognition in towards their DTM. One thing that changed from the first was that now you can add as many participants at any time that you wish, remove, add somebody new in. So there's a little bit more flexibility. Another thing to remember is 90 days after the Speechcraft is complete, you lose access to it. So it's not going to be there forever. So if there's anything that you need to keep out of that, you need to do that within the first 90 days. So I'll talk a little bit now into the coordinator. So they're going to enter the gateway again, toastmasters.org/speechcraft. They go there, enter the gateway, push on the number. They will need the digital bundle order number. So that's the email that they receive from Toastmasters International or from whoever purchased the bundle. There's a Speechcraft coordinator quick start guide, and that's again on that same page. That again, make sure you go through that. And I'm going through some of that material tonight. As well, there's a 61-minute coordinator webinar to go through and familiarize yourself with that coordinator role. So anything you can do in advance will reduce the amount of frustration you might have as you move into the digital bundle. One of the first things to do after you hit go is to go to create a new event. So this is, your Speechcraft is the event. If you're a member of more than one club like me, you have to pick which club is actually doing the Speechcraft. Put in that digital order number. I remember the first time I did it, I had trouble putting it in there. I'm not sure what I did wrong. I can't remember now, but eventually I got there. Verify the coordinator information that it's entered correctly. It's the right person, contact information. And then you could enter the event details, but if you're planning, you're not 100% sure when the Speechcraft is going to be and some of the more details of it, then you can just stop there and you enter whatever you can. And so this is optional. And again, at one point it wasn't, but this is something they added in after the first year. Bev mentioned the maximum is 120 US. It works out to about $160 Canadian. We charge 120 Canadian, as you saw earlier, and that allows us to cover their membership in our club till the end of September. So that's one of the things that you have to decide before you start, before you are ready to invite the participants. So then you move to the event tab on the left side. Add your Speechcrafters. So when you add the speech crafters, they receive an email with the information that they need to be able to access the portal. They would hit the event, or you hit the event tab in the coordinator access to the. So when you hit go, this is what you see as a Speechcraft coordinator. So you have the learning area where you what you need, sort of summarizes what you need to know, the introduction, an area to sort of get you started, planning, so they give you some ideas for your session resources, so looking at agendas, outlines, and Speechcraft or learning. So this gives you an opportunity to actually see what the Speechcrafters see, and that will allow you to help them. It'll allow you to actually download that material so you can share it with the guides that are working with the Speechcrafters. The dashboard, so you can see how the Speechcrafters are doing and progressing, as well as suggested outlines for the seven sessions, and then the 8th session is sort of the graduation ceremony in this process. It's not, you don't have to follow it, but it gives you some ideas in addition to say what Connie had, how we've modified. Like pathways, you act as a coordinator, you act like the VP Ed. If the Speechcrafter is supposed to mark in the portal that they've done a speech, and then you as the Speechcraft coordinator, you validate that. And there's an opportunity for chat and feedback. I don't think that there hasn't been much use of that from my experience. So now move to the Speechcraft participant or what their role is. And there's a quick start guide for them. And again, that's accessible. You can have a look at it again from that page, toastmasters.org/Speechcraft. Anybody, you can look at it now. You don't have to pay for the program to do any of this background, to review this background material. So they access through that registration email that you sent them when you entered them. And they have this link, so that the area that says follow this link to finalize your registration by creating a Toastmaster profile. Click on that and it takes you to the gateway, similar to what you had as a coordinator. They click go, and they don't see as much as you, but they have the learning. So this is where they access the Speechcraft projects, the badges, similar to what we see on pathways, chat and feedback, the tutorials and resources. This is how they access those. And then the dashboard. So this is where they can see their self-assessment. And that's one of the first things that they need to do. And it's this over on the left side, surveys to complete, self-assessment before. So that'll be one of the things. And they need to click on that. Now, last year, a PDF came up with an little bit of instructions on how to do the survey. It was a little difficult to understand. You need to mark it complete before you started, and then evaluate, and then hit submit final answers. They may have changed that for this year. We haven't gone into the program that far this year, but this is the way it was last year. And then they submit their final answers. So they have 10 days after they enter the portal to be able to do that first survey. Now, Bev mentioned that we like to do an orientation before that first meeting. Now, that's something that we do within the 3 clubs, or the 3 clubs that I'm a member of. We orient our new members in a separate session, set an hour aside with them to get them signed into pathways, pick their path, have a look at their icebreaker, select when they want to do that icebreaker. And I'd recommend doing that for the Speechcrafters as well, because you're talking about, this is online, you're not familiar with the program. As a Speechcraft coordinator, you can help them by meeting with them prior to the first session. It could be a group session where you have one person that shares their screen and the others other 1 or 2 or whatever number, that they follow your directions and follow the screen of one of the participants that's going in and completing, accessing the Speechcraft and completing that first survey. There's also material that they have available to them that provides a bit of an introduction to the Speechcraft. And I believe that's available again on toastmasters.org/Speechcraft. It's ready there now to have a look at. Now, during the Speechcraft, the coordinator role is to assist the vice president of education with setting up the agendas, depending on the expertise and the knowledge of the vice president of education with the Speechcraft. And the coordinator has access to all the draft agendas on the portal, so they would have the best knowledge to be able to set it up. The tables that Connie had are there to help set up the agenda. You have access to the ed session outlines, so it's not like a prepared presentation, but it has the content that should be presented, so then the Toastmasters that are doing the educational session can use that as a base. So they don't write the speech for you, but they give you the content. And only the coordinator can give that to the individuals that are doing those presentations. As a guide or as a coordinator, you can download the Speechcrafter material, what they're learning for each one of those 8 topics that Connie had in her list. So I recommend there's a place where you can download that material, put it on what we do is put it on a Google Drive, and then everybody has access to that drive to be able to understand exactly what their Speechcrafters are learning, so that they can provide the best advice possible. Another trick that we've used is, so we've got 2, maybe 3 Speechcrafters, so that the other 2 we can sign up the guides, so they can actually see what the Speechcrafters have, and they can be even more useful for resolving any issues they have with the program. Before the meetings, as you would have seen with Connie's presentation, there's things for the coordinator to do, to check to see what they should be preparing for this meeting, what they should be doing during the meeting, and what they're going to be doing after the session, because Speechcraft or the coordinator provides a little bit of an overview at the beginning of the meeting, and then assigns the work or the homework for the next session as well. Then that's an opportunity for the guides and the Speechcrafters to get together. And then after the meeting, there's your opportunity to validate the speeches on the Speechcraft portal. And again, you need to have the Speechcrafters go in and indicate that they've finished those speeches, just like in Pathways. Still a little different, the actual technical process, but the same idea. Now moving to the last role, actually, you've gone through all the 7 or 8 meetings, whatever number you have, everything's finalized. Now you can go and launch that final checklist on the learning page. And this, you go through and review and confirm all the tasks are complete, that all the Speechcrafters have their speeches in there, they're all validated, everything's little check marks for all the items that have to be complete. When that's done, you mark complete. That's our little button on the final checklist. Then you click evaluate button to share your feedback with Toastmasters International. So this is a fairly new program. So any feedback that you can provide on things that you thought could be improved, this would be a good time to put it forward. And one thing, once this is done, then Toastmasters International can assign credit for, the 1, 2, 3, 4 or more speeches, up to 7 speeches in Pathways, or 7 projects in Pathways when they're a Toastmaster. So with Wild Oats, they will be a Toastmaster. We'll add them as members prior to their graduation. They'll get that applied to them. And if they join later on, again, you can just email Toastmasters International, let them know, and then they will assign that. So that concludes my portion. Got an idea of what you do before, during, and after a Speechcraft on the Speechcraft portal. I'll stop sharing and return control to Bev.
Thanks very much, Brad. I'm just going to share one last slide, bit of a wrap up, and then we're going to do questions and answers. So if anyone has any questions, you can get those ready for sure. So one of the things that we do constantly, and I'm sure that you guys do the same things every opportunity you get, we want to make sure that Speechcraft is not the last contact people have with Toastmasters. We want to be their first contact, and we want them to continue with the program as long as they can after Speechcraft. So we do our best job of making them want to never leave us. We emphasize continually every week, everything you're doing, we're telling them this is a transferable skill. Use it in your job, use it in the community. The guides reinforce that with people. Last year, we had a fellow, great Speechcrafter and great continuing member who joined because he had to give a toast at a wedding in June, or in the summer anyways, and he didn't want to look foolish. And so we were continually saying, oh, that speech you did, you can use those techniques when you give your toast. So reinforce those all the time. Make sure that they know that they can promote this with their employer. Add it as a skill on their resume. We're getting to the time of year now when people are coming to their annual reviews at work. And so they can either say to their supervisor, look, these are the things that I am doing to improve my whatever skill it is that they need, or these are the things that you're going to see me improve because I've joined the Speechcraft program. We emphasize that we want to build communication skills, and we are building communication skills, leadership skills, and most definitely increasing the confidence level of everyone who goes through Speechcraft. I'm sure you've seen it with the Speechcrafts you've done, and even in the regular program it happens. So our last year experience is, as it has been for a while, and things that you can think about doing, making it part of our regular meetings. We've tried all sorts of configurations, and that's the best. As you've heard, we had 2 Speechcrafters. We wanted to make sure there's room on the agenda for our regular members to get their speeches in also. You heard about how much we pay, our charge of them rather, and our goal is for them to get 4 speeches, so they will have finished level 1 and got credit for that in Pathways. And Brad told you about the orientation. Connie told you about the educational sessions, and a common spot that we keep our material that Brad and Connie both mentioned, so that the people who are giving the weekly educationals will have a starting point for which to develop their presentations. We talked a bit earlier about free toast. Some of you guys might use Easy Speak, and I can't speak to how Easy Speak works, but we teach our members how to use the free toast so they can go in and they learn how to use that. So when they're a full-fledged member, they just seamlessly transition to that. There are 3 QR codes on your screen. They're also in the PDF that I shared in my slide presentation. The top left one is general about Speechcraft information. The bottom one is what Brad's been talking about, the speechcraft.toastmasters.org. That's where you'll find Speechcraft specific things. And that's where you'll find the video. And if you watch that video, that's just amazing. I'm the coordinator this year, and I really felt much better after I watched that video about being a coordinator. So you can certainly go there. I think it's an hour long, but the first 30 minutes is what you need to watch. The next 30 is question and answers. And the other QR code will lead you to the Waldo's website. We are Free Toast Host, and that's the page on our website that gives the information for our Speechcraft and our Speechcrafters and our members too. So I think we're ready to answer questions if anybody has them. Does anyone have a question?
There's nothing in chat yet, but people can unmute themselves as well if they want.
Absolutely.
Can you repeat those updates you said they made from, was it last year or from when was the new updates?
That Brad talked about?
Yeah. Maybe Brad can elaborate.
I'll see if I can remember. I think that you can add and change participants at any time. I think at first it was restricted. When they were doing the surveys, this last year, they added in a little an explanation of how to complete the survey, a PDF that pops up. That was something that wasn't there to begin with. And they may have, I don't know, but they may have maybe some changes there, because that was when it came to the evaluation portion, that was one of the recommendations that I had to, simplify this a little bit. What else? I think those were the couple of the main areas that were changed from the initial year.
Thanks, Marta. Anyone else? Nothing? Well, you know where
How
to
did-
find us, but there's a lot of experience in this group for sure. Marta, did you have
Michelle.
a question?
I saw Michelle. Go ahead.
Yeah, I couldn't find the reactions quickly, but my question is for the guides, what level would you recommend a Toastmaster have before being assigned the task of being a guide for a speech crafter?
I think anyone who is good, experienced enough to be a mentor, because that's really what they are. Very few people are going to know about the actual portal and what the speech crafters learn. So they have to be willing to get caught up to speed on that for sure. And you can also do some tandem stuff, somebody who's never done it before and somebody who has, and that way you can learn, somebody can learn to be a guide.
No, I got that. We're down to say less than a dozen members, and the majority of them are level 1 Toastmasters. So I'm not sure how the speech crafters, I mean, they're almost at the same level as the speech crafters, and then we don't have a big pool of people right now in our club that could then act as guides.
I think there's two things the guide would do. One, they would guide them through the technical aspects of the program, which maybe not everybody can do, but anybody who's given their first 3 or 4 speeches, or even a couple of speeches, will be able to handle them. They just need reassurance. They need to know how to write a speech. Sometimes they want to follow up with you and say, does this look like a good speech? Just things like that. I don't know. Connie or Brad.
I just
Yeah.
wanted to add one more thing. I've encouraged newer members to be mentors or guides before. And what I've told them is that they have the advantage of being fresher in their experience. And so the fear of what's about to happen is perhaps more, it's more present for them. Bev and Brad and I, after you've been in Toastmasters for 30 years, I mean, I talked to a guest on Monday and I said, you know, one thing, we all were where you are, because he was pretty terrified in a lot of respects, but still, the memory of that being terrified fades after a while. And so I think that the level of empathy that a newer member can bring to that experience is invaluable.
Bravo. And if that person has had a good mentor, they're going to be able to emulate the experience they had with their mentor. And yeah, we've had good experience actually.
One comment and one question.
Thank you.
The comment is I really like how in the Speechcraft the first level is kind of divorced from the pathways in a sense, because I found that when I started, it felt like picking a pathway was such a momentous decision, and once you're locked in, you're locked in. But doing this, it kind of opens it up for people to explore and understand. And I find that to be, I think that would really energize people to not be stuck in what pathway should I pick and what should I do and all this. Because after doing it, I realized that the first level is really inconsequential to the pathway. But my question is, how did you find like the people like 6 months later or a year later, were they people that completed a pathway? Did they feel, hey, I completed level 1, I'm good? How much uptake did you have for people continuing forward? Thank you.
We have we've got one member now who's, I think 3 years ago, she took Speechcraft, one from last year. We normally get one maybe a year. It's not like I couldn't jump up and down and have a party because we have every Speechcrafter always joins, but part of it is they have different goals than we do. We want to get a new member. They want to just get over the horrendous fear of being able to talk, perhaps. So it's I don't know, we try and do everything possible to make them love us so they never want to leave. And a lot of life circumstances keep people from coming back. I see we've got the red light. I don't know if there's any more questions, if we have to beg indulgence for more questions or.
There is a comment just on chat here. It is a lot to process for the participants. It is as expensive as our yearly dues. Now, do you have to pay double? Do you pay the 120 and the dues, or do the due, like, yeah, could you talk a little bit about that?
120 covers Speechcraft. So our Speechcraft starts in March. So 120 covers the Speechcraft. It ends in April. We sign them up to Toastmasters International on May 1st and pay their quarterly, their second dues for that period. So from March 11th until the end of September, they are Toastmasters in the program. So they won't have to pay any more. Their next outlay of cash would be for the October 1st semi-annual.
Fantastic.
And so, I mean, it's extremely good value for money when you look at many of the other programs that are out there. And we tell them we're going to give them ongoing support until the end of September. So you're not going to get that from the high price programs.
However, that's the price that the club charges. The Speechcraft itself from Toastmasters International, I believe, is $50 US, and that's up for 5 participants. And district will reimburse the $50 US Speechcraft fee. Just send the receipt to myself, and I have the email in the chat.
So Debbie, what I understand is it won't be $50. It'll be whatever you paid. So whatever the converted 50 is on that day, 67 or 72 or whatever it is. Is that correct?
Yeah, $50 US. So just send me your, because when I put it in, I'll put it in as US. But if you send me what you actually paid for it, then I'll put it in as that.
Yeah, for sure. So it's not, the club's not anything out of pocket now, but you can include what it's going to cost. Like you can factor in your weekly meeting rooms and everything when you think about how much it costs you. Marty, did you have your hand up earlier again? Like I addressed your question. And sorry, Nick, that was a good comment you had. Absolutely, there's no pressure on choosing. You like you're going to university, you don't have to pick your major. You just go in and take the classes.
Wonderful. Are there any other questions? No. Fantastic. Oh, and somebody did have a comment going to start a youth program with this. So that would be a great idea. Bev, did you want to talk anything about that?
That would be youth leadership, but I do want to say that pretty much every year, as a response to our advertising for Speechcraft, somebody says, can I send my kids to this? And then we are able to promote youth leadership after that. So it is sort of a gateway into youth leadership for a lot of people. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Well, thank you so much. I want to thank Connie and Brad and Bev. You guys have given us a lot to think about. There's a lot to this, but really appreciate the fact that we can reach out to you and you've sent us the presentations in the chat, and we can see if we can make this happen in one of our clubs. And hopefully we'd love to hear from the participants to see if you go forward or don't. And any comments and any help, you can reach out to anyone here. Next month, February 22nd, we will be having a discussion for coaches on the challenges they're having, sharing ideas that they're helping to move their club forward, add membership, and get them to distinguish. So look forward, mark that in your calendars for February 22nd. And Marg or Debbie, is there anything else that we want to discuss before we call it a night?
I don't have anything. Marg might.
I just wanted to remind people, you'll see behind several people, the road to Regina. There is a presentation on February 10th, which is paving the road. It's a free presentation. I believe it is an hour long, and Morag Matheson is presenting. She is our international president, so I'm anxious to hear what she has to say.
And Marg, where would we sign up for this?
D42tm.org, go to February 10th, and the registration link should be there.
Awesome. Thank you so much. All right. Well, again, thank you, speakers. This was so interesting. I love this. I would love to jump in with 2 feet. So thank you so much for this, Connie, Bev, Brad. Thank you again. Have a great night, everyone. Stay safe, and we'll see you on February 22nd. Bye for now.
Good night,
Hi,
everyone.
thanks for
Good night,
asking us.
everyone.